If you are planning to stay, and that can be a perfectly valid strategy, then you need to have several things ticked off, and these are not negotiable. Do you understand fire behaviour? Do you understand fire weather? Do you have an independent water supply? Because we expect to lose the mains reticulation supply, and some of you won't be on mains water anyway. Do you have hoses that will reach all the way around your property? Can you actually drag the hose all the way around your property? Is your pump protected from radiant heat? Does it have an independent fuel supply? Because if it's running off the 240, expect you to lose your 240. If you've got a generator in, such as this property, does the generator work? When was the last time we tested it? Can all the members of your family start that generator under pressure? Is it fueled? Have we got an independent fuel supply? Put away safely. Have you got adequate protective clothing? Covering up as much bare skin as possible to protect yourselves from the radiant heat. It's the radiant heat, the energy generated by the fire, that is the killer in bushfires. So some of that involves a pair of long pants, and cotton pants are really good because they're lightweight. If they get wet, they dry out pretty readily. A shirt, long sleeves, a hat with a string on it, so that when it's on your head, it doesn't blow off. Gloves, goggles, and a filter mask, which is in here somewhere. P2 filter mask. You're trying to filter out all those debris that you're breathing in. Now, when you saw all the reports on tally in January, how many people were dressed up in all the protective clothing? The only people I saw were people who wore yellow or green. The firefighters from either MFB, CFA, the interstate colleagues, and DSE. The rest of our population were running around in their shorts, their thongs. A lot of our males were bare-chested, our ladies in their short-sleeved nylon tops. Do not let me see you this year in a fire inappropriately attired. You are asking for trouble. The risk of burns, scalds, the wildlife in your garden, the radiant heat, you've got to be protected. Hydration. So have we got enough water for everyone to drink? A litre of water per person per hour at best. If this thing goes on for 12 hours and there's 6 or 8 of you at your property, how much water do you need for hydration? Have you got it? Part of your planning. When the lights go out, have you got your torches? Do they work? Do we have enough? Do I know where they are? Have we got our battery backup radio? So we might be able to get some information about what's going on. Because these things are very, very confusing. Trying to get information is really difficult. Some of the things you can do around your home, other than cleaning up the vegetation. Now, you can clean up the vegetation this morning, and this afternoon, because of the winds we've had, it's all back again, except you'll have twice as much. So gutter plugs is part of your strategy. So they can block your downpipes, so you can get round ones, you get square ones, etc. Fill up your gutters as part of your strategy. There is no one thing that will guarantee the survival of your property.
Where do you get a gutter plug?
You can get these from some of the plumbers' hardware supplies. Now would be a really good time to start to make that inquiry, because once we get in the hot weather and we've had our first fire, you won't find these.
Can you get them at Bunnings?
Possibly, you would need to inquire at your Bunnings, but again, there's a number of plumbing supplies around that do it. The plumbing supplies in Mount Evelyn had the A board out over February, and so we've got these in stock.
What if I haven't got enough money to buy those things?
You might be able to get a small bag of some sort, an old shirt sleeve, fill up with sand, stuff it down the hole, bit of string, tie it off to your downpipe so it doesn't disappear. If you are totally reliant on a tank water supply and there's a fire in the area, make sure you isolate that tank supply, because if the ash on your roof washes into your tank, your entire water supply is contaminated. Then you've got, for firefighting, under the wildfire management overlay, a minimum of 10,000 litres. So the hotter and the more dangerous today, some of these strategies still may fail. You still may not be in a position to be able to save your property. A fire you can fight on a 35-degree day may be a fire that you cannot fight on a day of 49 degrees. So understanding the nature and the scale of the weather and the possible implication of fire behaviour is of paramount importance. With our planning and our preparation, it's not as simple as I'm going to stay and I've got a pump. We need to think about who else is at our property. So if you've got young children, it's probably a really good strategy not to be there, because it's fairly difficult to supervise young children plus protect the property. If you've got elderly or other frail people at your house, and that could be you or I tomorrow, if we injure ourselves, then your safest strategy is don't be there. Go somewhere else where it is far safer. So your plan can change. If the children come home on the school bus and they're at home for a couple of hours before you get home, what strategies can you put in place for those children to go somewhere else? Can they go to a neighbour's home? Can they go to grandma's house where they've got adult supervision in that fire weather? What happens if the local high school closes down and suddenly your 16 and your 17-year-olds are home by themselves? Now they are young adults, but they don't get out of bed until 2 o'clock. The fire strikes, they may well be a victim, because often the missing demographics of these meetings is the 14 to 25-year-old. If they haven't got the knowledge about all those things we spoke about, the fire weather, fire behaviour, etc., if they can't start your pump, they don't know what to do, then they will be a victim. So we need to make arrangements to take them to work with you, take them out of the area, organise them to go visit someone else. It takes a lot of effort to make these arrangements, but if we don't take that effort to make the arrangements, we may not be here to tell the tale at the end of the fire. I'm glad you raised that point. Thank you. CFA have about 2,500 trucks across the state, and there will not be a fire truck in every street. There will not be a fire truck at every house, because depending on where the fire is, our resources may well have been sent off to try and stop that fire before it impacts on our community. Some of the streets and some of the roads in the area, we will not be sending fire trucks in because of steepness, narrowness, overgrown fuel loads and nowhere to turn the truck. There will be a lot of areas that the trucks will not be going into.
The rubbish truck goes down my street, why can't I get a fire truck down?
And the rubbish truck goes down there when there's no fire. Our first priority is firefighter safety. Our second priority is the safety of you. If we barbecue the fire truck and the crew, who is then going to help you out? Should you be lucky enough to get that help? Okay? You need to have a look at your street and your property. Can you actually get a truck in there? It may be for something else. It may be after the main fire front's gone. But can we actually get a truck down there? Now we're very fortunate that the garbage trucks actually clear the streets for us. Is there any questions at this point?
How do you find out that you don't get a truck in the street if you don't know much about trucks?
You need clearance, 4 metres wide, 4 metres high, a culvert that will take 18 tonne. Okay, and if you can't meet that, then we can't get the fire truck down there.
What about Elvis? Won't it come?
Not necessarily. It will depend on how many fires are burning across the state and the prevailing weather conditions. So in extreme weather, with really strong winds, it may not be safe to get that helicopter or other fixed-wing aircraft off the ground. The smoke plume might be that thick that it's not safe for the pilot to be in the air. So there may not be a helicopter or other aircraft available.